And now it's the biggie, the big award of the night, the one you've all been waiting for, and it is, of course, the Common Sense Commentator of the Year award. And this goes to Esther Krakue. Esther, this is my special award for you. This is for being the smartest person in the room. In your case, that's the entire British Isles. And for cutting through the woke insanity to give us sensible opinions here every single Thursday night. I wish the rest of Britain could benefit from you the way we have. So thank you so much. That's my special award for you, Esther.
Oh, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Now, listen, we talked the other day about this Ngozi Fulani, the owner of Sistah Space, the charity. We had Lady Susan Hussey, who was accused of racism and basically thrown under the carriages by the royal family. Tell us what the latest is on her, Esther.
So now it has been revealed that Sistah Space is under a preliminary investigation because apparently they want to, there have been allegations that the charity has misused a lot of the funds that were given to it. We know that they filed their accounts almost like over 2 months late, later than you're supposed to. And, you know, it's just a preliminary investigation, but it does kind of raise questions about how the royal family and the palace handled this issue with, you know, Ngozi Fulani, whose real name is Marlene Headley. And I'd like to point out, she's actually a woman of Barbadian origin that grew up in East London. She is not, as many would assume, an actual West African woman, even though she somehow cosplays as a West African woman of miscellaneous heritage. Anyway, but it does draw into question how they handled this, because if it is revealed that, you know, she doesn't have the cleanest track record with regards to her charity and its operations and how sort of the funding is used, that begs the question: were they right to just throw Lady Hussey under the bus without doing a proper investigation and just, you know, effectively labeling her a callous racist for inquiring about Ngozi Fulani's origins? And I find it really disappointing as well, because I just thought, you know, after 6 decades of service to the royal family, she would have been treated better with at least the courtesy of a proper investigation, not just being jettisoned off into the distance.
Now, you'll have to help me out here, Esther, but is being your family from Africa, is being Caribbean but pretending to be African, is that cultural appropriation? Do you think that's the kind of thing that the woke world would get upset about?
I mean, it's not. We wouldn't really consider it cultural appropriation, but I'm not sure if you've had many interactions with Africans. We're probably the hardest people to offend, so we don't take things that personally. It's just very weird, because, you know, these would be the same people that would have a problem with, you know, Adele wearing Bantu knots, even though she grew up in Tottenham with a large Caribbean diaspora. It's just, you know, it just draws into question why she would effectively cosplay as a West African woman, because there's nothing very legitimate or authentic about what she's doing. Ngozi Fulani is not a real name. I'm not sure if many of your viewers know this. Ngozi is an Igbo name, and Fulani is actually a tribe, and we don't tend to pair first names with tribes. It's not something that we do sort of across West Africa. So I knew a lot of Ghanaians and Nigerians were very, very curious, because that's something we've never heard before. But we wouldn't call it cultural appropriation. We just think if you're going to kind of embrace that kind of culture, do it respectfully. The outfit she was wearing to the royal palace wasn't even actual traditional attire. It was some sort of leopard print,
some sort of made up thing,
with a weird scarf and massive. Yeah, it just wasn't anything culturally relevant to
now, I just want to quickly, before we go, Esther, I just want to ask you very quickly 2 things. Boris Johnson is now earning £1 million for doing the speaking circuit. Good job if you can get it. And Nigel Farage has come out and said that he thinks the Conservatives should be apologising for the way they've run the country.
I mean, on the Boris point, yes, it's a very nice job if you can get it. Also, Matt Hancock has just made about 800 grand from being a disgraced former MP, and we all know what he did there. But you know, it does draw into question why should they be earning that kind of money off the back of public service. But I think it just comes. The reality is they get a lot of public notoriety for being prime minister. How many people get to be prime minister of the United Kingdom? So you kind of understand it. On Nigel Farage's point, I see what the point he's making, but I think I would go further and say this is, you know, decades of mismanagement of the UK that goes back to probably even Blair. And I don't think, you know, the Conservatives should shoulder the majority of the responsibility for that. They should shoulder a significant portion of it. But, you know, we're really, COVID and the war in Ukraine has just shown us how poorly this country's been managed for a long time. And I don't think to lay the blame solely at the Conservatives' feet is exactly the right way to go about it.
Well, bring back Maggie Thatcher. I always say Esther Krakue, my Common Sense Commentator of the Year. Fantastic. We'll see you next year on Outsiders. I'm looking forward to that. And thank you so much for all your wonderful work this year on this show. Thank you so much, Esther Krakue.